in your brain, you're in the nuts domain. Come on in, it's about to begin.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Criterion Collection, where we're going to talk about Wings of Desire.
The Nerds Domain on the Criterion Collection.
Yes, this episode, what did I say?
You said the Criterion Collection. We are not the Criterion Collection.
No, we're just on top of them. Whether they like it or not. Jesse, why don't you give us a rundown of what Wings... keep it short.
Keep it short.
Because last time I asked you for one, 4 hours later we got to the actual movie. So go ahead.
Short one. Wings of Desire is about two depressed angels watching over a depressing city, listening to depressed thoughts, trying to stop it from being depressed, failing miserably. Towards the end, there's a small glimpse of hope, and then everybody's depressed again.
Okay, so I like what you've done there. However, I will expand on that and say this movie is set in 1987 Berlin. While the wall is still up, and we see the wall there.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to realize that. I was like, why is there just a wall there? And then I was like, oh, that's the wall.
No.
So the Berlin Wall is still up. So there's a lot of World War II here, like the ramifications and that whole like Iron Curtain that literally is sitting right there. So there's a lot going on.
Were we in? I never picked up. I guess we were in Western since Peter Falk was there. Western controlled Berlin.
Yeah. I assume so, but it wasn't said. It had to have been.
Yeah.
There wasn't a bunch of Russian-speaking people, so it had to have been.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, we were, because the French were there, and that was probably in the French Quarter of Berlin.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it was and it was about these two angels, and there were other angels. There were
a lot of other
It focused
angels.
on these two angels. One of them decided that he was in love and wanted to become mortal.
He was also incredibly bored.
Yeah, well, but they'd been there literally. I mean, at one point they explained they'd been there since creation, and then eventually man made their way there. Like that would have been more, and that's when they learned to talk. Oh, maybe that's why the movie was so slow. It just gives that sense. And there's Peter Falk is in it, playing himself, but not really himself, an angel version of himself.
He was an actor in the film.
Right, but do you really think that Peter Falk in this world is an angel? Formerly an angel?
Oh no,
that's what I'm saying.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I was confused for a moment.
No, he's playing a version of himself, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But
by the way, that's the first major spoiler out of this episode. That was a big release.
Yeah, it really was, because I'm like, why? How does he know? Like, So there are these two angels, and one of them, they're both kind of depressed. But the one's like, I kind of want to be human, and he's going to take his time to really think about it. He finds this circus with this trapeze artist who he just falls in love with, and she's all kind of depressed and sad because the circus is going to shut down. And Peter Falk is there, kind of taping or making a movie, and he keeps watching these two characters while watching the other parts of Berlin. I guess this is what angels do: is they watch people and talk about it.
Yeah, and then like they look for souls who are tormented and in pain, and they try to bring them some hope.
And I think the moment that really turned for the main angel, whose name I can't think of, did we get a name?
Danielle.
Yes.
Okay. Was when he was on a building with a guy who wanted to commit suicide. He thought he had stopped him, and then the guy went ahead and jumped anyway. And that was kind of, this movie was kind of depressing, but there were a lot of, I don't know, I liked it.
I'm not saying it was bad. I like emotions. This movie invokes emotions. It's just a depressing emotion.
I don't know, because I like... while you're watching the world through the angel's eyes, everything is in black and white. And when it switches over, it becomes color again. Yeah. So
and the angels can't see color at all, apparently, because when he's first human, he's asking, what are these colors?
So that for me was very impactful. I liked that. I felt like the director did something really good there. So
it wasn't as gimmicky as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, because it's a modern film done in black and white,
and it came across as a shock to me because they the first couple times they cut to color.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what was happening. I mean, the fact that the angel wasn't looking at the scene didn't dawn on me the first few times.
I thought Hulu screwed up or something.
And with Criterion Collection, sometimes you're not always sure of the video quality.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the subject of we thought Criterion screwed up, the library scene had me totally confused. My Blu-ray player and TV don't talk together very well sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you do the wrong thing, the sound from the Blu-ray player just won't work. I was actually watching through my Wii, so this shouldn't have been a problem. But, there's dialogue. He gets to the library, and then there's nothing. And I was, or no, it was the subtitles. Subtitles throughout the whole film. He gets to the library, and there's all these people doing their thing in the library, and all the subtitles went away. And I was like, what happened? And, I was turn it off, turn it back on, whatever. And then finally I ended up fast forwarding through the movie and realizing the subtitles were coming regardless of your settings. Because like on Netflix, they usually are something you turn on and off. On Hulu, it's whether you want them or not, probably because, this movie's German and being brought to America.
Yeah, this movie was in German, French, and English.
Right.
And those are the three I picked out. There could have been something else.
There could have been some Russian.
Yeah. But so I liked the movie's like 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah, they could have cut so much out of this. I hate to say it. I would suggest some of my friends watch this, but I don't think I would suggest the Criterion version of this film.
I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think that German cinema in '87 was American cinema in the '60s, and so that speed.
Possibly,
I mean, you'll find that European films like that and European music is usually a decade or two behind America in the style. It takes a while for it to get over there and to really be adopted. And I think that might have been part of it. This was also like one of the first movies filmed in Berlin since World War II. Like it has an iconic feel to it, and I don't think it was. I think that the scenes that were directed were directed really well, and I think there was a lot that the editor could have put on the cutting room floor.
I'm going to disagree with you in that Europe was behind, because generally Europe is considered ahead of the game. It's avant-garde. I mean, that was that term.
Avant-garde is not necessarily good.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just
very
said
avant-garde.
ahead of Matt put out that perhaps they were behind. I think that this was European pretentious filmmaking on display.
I could see that. I just feel like music and movies specifically are usually quote unquote behind, whereas fashion clearly we're way behind them.
I think it's an arguable point.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I don't think that it's behind is the right word.
And maybe that there was a very heavy artistic eye to it. Instead of just telling a story, you wanted to tell this artistic story. Yeah. And it wasn't bad. I'm okay with that.
Having come through the art school, I have a degree from an art college, specifically, Savannah College of Art and Design, specifically an art college. Pretentious is kind of a bad word among people that go through that, and I don't mean to use it as a bad word. But if the shoe fits, I mean, this movie, the writer and the director and everybody involved in this film had a message that they wanted to deliver.
I think the better term is high concept.
It is, yes, high concept would be the politically correct term.
The less aggressive.
Yeah. So, none of us dislike the movie overall.
I'm not the most religious individual in the world.
Sure.
There was a lot of symbolism in this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up to see if somebody else was following my tracks, and I could not find anywhere else on the internet that seemed to think the way I was feeling from this movie.
Really?
But it felt like the angels were falling from grace almost, and Faulkner was kind of a tempting, almost devilish sort of character.
You mean Peter Falk? The Columbo?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it that way.
Once he comes to Earth, he starts going to the music changes. It gets more aggressive. It gets more dirty almost.
I hadn't thought about that at all, and I don't think, and he doesn't, he's not an evil, tempter, but he's like, hey, if you decide to do this, it's not so bad.
He tried to get his friend to do it just as soon as he got this guy, just right off the bat, he started someone else. The first thing they do is they sell the only thing that they had tied with them to being angels, their armor.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
an interesting take.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe you want to watch this again and really delve into that and write something.
I think I might watch it again now that there's that aspect. That's an very interesting point.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That is weird. And you said, I
tried looking it up, and there is a lot of symbolism, and I got that symbolism too. But it was for hope coming out of despair. Because the movie's so despairing and so depressing, and then there's hope always around the corner.
You know, I always forget. Well, one, the streets were empty, and I'm not sure if that was typical of Berlin or if that was typical because they were filming. There was a lot of like just empty streets.
Probably a little bit of both.
Or if it was like they were close to the wall, so that's why you know, I mean, but I forget that like, we went through World War II as well, but like it didn't impact us anywhere.
We didn't fight. Yeah, like World War II didn't come to American soil.
Well,
Hawaii,
I know what you said. Yeah.
Pearl Harbor, but I mean,
but no
here in Indiana,
us.
here in Indiana.
Yeah.
So I mean, even though we're 70 years, no, not quite.
Yeah,
70 years past it. We had, our grandfathers participated in it.
Yeah.
So we're removed by time and space. So
and I mean, there's the wall, and like I keep thinking of like while I was watching this, I kept thinking about like in France, part of the reason that tank warfare was so difficult. This is completely off topic, but we're going to go there anyway. Was because in France, to dictate your property line, you put up hedgerows.
Yeah.
You can't drive a tank down tiny little roads, and you can't go through the hedges. So they had to literally put like hedge cutters at the front of the tanks. And so there's these just giant like holes in the hedges, and like that devastation, even that little bit. Not even talk about buildings and cities and stuff.
Oh, and then there's all the trenches they dug.
The
front lines.
Absolutely.
That lands. I kind of.
And the potential for landmines.
Right.
I mean, like I hear like landmines are horrible and no one should use them anymore. And for a long time I was like, does it really matter? But then like looking at stuff like it does kind of matter. Like it is a terrible idea. Yeah. I get like this is my base. I'm gonna put landmines around it. But like, hey, we just mined this field. It was kind of fun. Yeah. Like that's a terrible idea.
Well, again, we're getting off topic.
Oh yeah,
further off topic. But in I want to say in the 80s, 90s, there were a lot of supermodels were big on going over to Vietnam and Southeast Asia countries that were constantly fighting, and they were talking about, the fighting's over, but there's fields and landmines. Kids would go out and play or work and come back without limbs because
there was a story that I saw on Facebook about a year ago where this kid was walking to school and went through a field instead of on the road and lost a leg.
Right,
and like that's terrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, like this movie helped me remember that like Europe was a lot different. It changed in a lot more ways.
Right, even in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that was only 40 years, 30, 40 years after the fact.
Yeah. So like, and that's still been 30 years ago. This movie is almost 40 years old.
Right.
It'll be almost 30 years old in a couple of years. I mean, that's, I don't know. It's just, the movie made me think a lot. It also made me kind of nod off in a couple of places. So
not to get off track again, but I was listening to I think it was a podcast, might have been a TV show. It all kind of blends together after a while. But they were stating back in the 80s, you'd watch a show in World War II and it'd be a period film.
Yeah.
The gap between the 80s and World War II is the same gap between the 80s and now. So when we watch an 80s film now, we're watching a period film.
Oh. Well, I think I think if somebody made a movie set in the 80s, it would be a period. Well, just like, not that that's been, 15 years ago, but The Wedding Singer was a period piece, and it was set in the 80s. Yeah, that's a very good point. It's a period piece comedy, Yeah. I mean, it's like, or the other way around, comedy period piece. But I mean, but like Breakfast Club is not a period piece because it was made. It was made in the 80s, about the 80s. Yeah. So I don't know. So, generally, what did you guys think about the acting? It was pretty good. It was fine. I didn't hate anything. Yeah. There was a little stiffness in a couple of places. It wasn't like world class. Everybody was just like over the top, main characters. They were fine. Even the people that were following them were all right. Did you guys find the angels that weren't talking creepy because they were just staring at you? I thought the angels that were talking were creepy at points. I mean, you don't get much more stalkery than those angels. That's true. I mean, he rubbed that one woman's back while she was nude. That's not a very angelic thing to do. Yeah. Well, so as far as you know, that wasn't a comforting rub. Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah, I found the other angels, like, because as the camera, like, panned through some, especially in the library. The library is like, they're just watching the camera, and I'm like, wow, this is really creepy. And I was thinking to myself, like after I figured out that the subtitles were not supposed to be there in the library, like, excuse me, maybe the reason the subtitles weren't there was because our main character was not actively engaging those people, because the people there were angels actively engaging the people whose thoughts he was hearing. So like that made it really creepy. Later.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because it's like like they're almost leeching off of us because I mean, and it's not like the voices were talking over each other. They were short sentences in German, and then you hear a voice change, and you were on to somebody else. But because you couldn't read what they were saying, it was just off-putting.
Yeah.
And and then without the subtitles, it was almost like the non-main character angels were leeching that information.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting, the viewers weren't getting it. So, like I said, I was upset at the time, not thinking there was something wrong. But then,
looking back on
looking back on it, it gets creepy. It just, I don't know.
So did any of you guys look into the sequel?
No.
I read that there was a sequel before I saw To Be Continued.
Oh, did you? As soon as I seen it could be continued, I read the sequel because I'll probably never watch it.
Right.
But it's more depressing stuff happens.
Oh, good.
It has most of the main cast back, though. That's a plus.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So did you guys like the directing style other than some of the longer scenes?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't horrible.
No, it wasn't horrible. I still think
some
scenes could have been shorter.
What about the scenes where that it was good? Did you feel it was really good in those scenes and it felt solid? Okay. So there's some trimming that could be done, but when he was on, he was doing it right. Okay. Yeah. I kind of felt that same way. I understand.
I've never seen the payoff of the old man who wanted to be or had one more story to tell. They kind of followed him around, listening to his thoughts. It's the only story arc that didn't really seem to wrap up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because he became human before he was finished with him. So we're supposed to feel like he just got left.
Oh, wow.
But
yeah. You saw a lot more in this. You saw a lot more in this film than I did. I'm going to have to go back and watch it when I don't have a 1-year-old begging me for food. So overall, you guys generally liked it.
Yeah.
Is it something? If this was being viewed by someone who liked avant-garde, this would be the thing to watch, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely, if you're a film aficionado or consider yourself something along those lines. Yeah, I'd say go watch it. I mean, I prefer City of Angels.
That was good.
I've never seen that one.
No. So is it the same? Essentially the same story?
Well, I mean, the Meg Ryan is it's been a long time since I watched it. EMT or nurse. She works in a hospital.
Okay.
Saving lives, and that's what draws Nicolas Cage to her. It's like he's helping people with his angel powers, but she's literally putting them back together, saving their lives. So it's a bit different than the circus performer.
Okay.
And it's done in that American style of 93, 94, I forget.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Cindy Day just came out, so tonally it's a lot different. It's more about the romance of it.
Maybe I should watch that and kind of compare the two in a review.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you guys for not watching it because it's sort of like a chick flick,
I just it never came up on my radar to watch.
Yeah, back in the day,
and Nicolas Cage. So
I'm a Nicolas Cage fan.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I do like quite a few of his movies.
I'm with you on that.
What I heard was I have no taste. Go ahead.
So I want to see it. I don't know how this ever fell off my radar, but it was never even on it.
I mean, back in like I said, early '90s, we were in middle school, high school.
True, yeah, there had been no way.
We didn't have girlfriends to go with, so.
That's true. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a star rating. Jesse, why don't we start with you?
I'd give it a 3.5. I could honestly see if this was playing in a theater downtown and I could go with the right crowd, it could be a fun movie to watch like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Johnny?
3.5. So definitely worth checking out if you consider yourself a film buff. It's a little artsier than usual. Well, than the usual movies that we see. not on the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
I should finish that thought. But no, like I would totally like if I was with a group of friends, I'm sure if this had been showing at the Scat Theater in college, all me and all my friends would have gone to see it and then gone to the coffee shop across the street, talked about it. So.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna give it 2.5 because I think the editing could have been a lot tighter. I know I've just talked this movie up. Yeah. I've talked this movie up a bunch, but given the impact of the movie, so I'm gonna give it 2.5. But given the impact of the movie and like the style and what it meant to Germany, I'd say it's probably more like a 4 in those areas.
Yeah.
If this is the kind of movie that you understand and you like, you should definitely go see it. I think it's worthwhile. If you're an American moviegoer like we are,
if you want to see Pacific Rim,
yeah, this may be too much for you. This may bore you halfway through, and it may not be worth your time. But it's not a bad movie. No. It's told in a different speed.
Yeah. If you're depressed, and you vaguely think about suicide, do not watch this movie.
Yeah. So, all right. Next, we are watching the movie Kill. There's an explanation for it. Yeah. You have to put the emphasis on it. So join us on our next Criterion Collection for Kill! But we also want to thank some people that I should have brought the document up for already, so I'm going to vamp a little bit about it.
Well, I'll talk about the other creepy aspect of the angels.
Oh, absolutely.
Their ponytails. Through me, I didn't see it. Like I said, I was taking care of a 1-year-old. I was doing some things. I watched this movie in 2 sittings, basically.
So did I.
So did I. It's a hard one.
I was trying to watch it, and then I had what I thought were issues, and turned out I was just being too impatient. And I didn't notice that the two main characters had ponytails. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's just creepy, but it's 80s. So just nowadays, if I saw somebody like that on the street, I'd kind of wonder what was going on. So,
we want to thank our backers of our Kickstarter that was so successful for Indie PopCon.
Yeah.
And that would be George Bob Diggy Chimples, Scott Big Daddy T Troiano, Shirley N, God, When Nerds Collide, part of the Omega Nerds Network, Fidget Press and John Graham, Philip Durham, Todd Jeffcoat, Brandon Black, Dave Sokolowski, Uncle Fast Eddie, Tyson Vick, James Sirius Buckhorn, and Game Paradise. So thank you all very much for your support in our Kickstarter and your continued support of our website and podcasts.
See you in PopCon.
Yeah, we will see you in Indie PopCon. We also have been officially approved, I haven't told the two gentlemen at the table yet, for our panel at Gen Con.
Oh, it's nice.
So we haven't been approved for our game yet, but we haven't been rejected either, so that's, whatever.
I'm sure it takes a while to work.
But our panel is on books. So we are officially going to be holding a How to Do Podcasting on the Cheap panel.
So the panel's not on books.
No. It's on the books. Oh, my goodness. So we encourage you to come out to Gen Con and Indie PopCon, where we will be doing that panel as well at Indie PopCon. Catch us at either or both. I'm sure you'll get a little bit more, a little different information than each one.
Yeah.
So otherwise, you can check out our Facebook and our Twitter, and you can check the website itself, and you can buy our shirts at Slashloot, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
This has been a production of the Omega Nerds Network, the network where it's on.